When you have a lot of records to review, placing a tick mark next to each record as you review it is a great way of keeping track of where you are. Let's record the insertion of a symbol. We'll assign it to a keyboard shortcut to make it quicker to enter. We'll assign it to Control-Shift-A. Let's insert our symbol. So Insert, Symbol, go to the Webdings font, and here is a check mark that you can use. Click Insert, Close. Notice that your cursor is still in the cell, so let's go ahead and hit Enter to get out of there and stop the recorder. So now let's give our macro a try. Control-Shift-A, and it puts an A in the cell. Let's take a look at the code to figure out what's going on. As you can see, what the macro recorded was me entering an A in a cell. But to make that work, that A is actually the Webdings font. But it did not change the cell into Webdings. It kept the Calibri and simply entered the A in there. So inserting a symbol is not going to work because it doesn't also change the font of a cell. What can you do? To successfully create a macro where you're inserting a symbol, you're going to have to actually do each step yourself instead of using the Insert Symbol shortcut. Since we've already done this once, we know that the font we want to use is Webdings, and we know that the letter that needs to be in the cell is the A. So what we're going to do is record those steps. First, let's select a cell and start the recorder. We'll set up our shortcut key again to Shift-A. Now the first thing we're going to do is set the font on the cell to Webdings. Then we're going to type an A in the cell, and see, we get a check mark. If there's anything else we might want to do to the cell, for example, if we want a green check mark, then you can go ahead and change the font color, or highlight the cell, make it bold, increase the font size, whatever you want to do to insert your symbol, and then click Stop on the recorder. So let's go to our next cell and see if it worked. Now, as I review my data, I can hit my keyboard shortcut and have my check marks to show that I've reviewed these records and they're okay.
Thanks again, Tracy, for that help. And I wanted to show a couple of things, one being the use relative references should be set. And again, use relative references, let me highlight that. It even tells you what it is. It's going to make sure that the actions are recorded relative to that selected cell. So you want to make sure that you're not setting it up in an absolute way. Otherwise, you're going to always have the tick mark being put in the same place every time, and that's not what you want. The other thing is the tick marks get a little hard to remember. I mean, Control-Shift-T is the tick mark that I'm using, or the shortcut that I'm using for tick mark, and that's great, but you may not remember, and you may hit something else, and something undesirable happens. So a great way to handle this is just to go right to your Customize Access toolbar, and what I can do is change this to macros. Go down to this tick mark, which is the one that I want, and then just select it and select the Modify button. So again, there's a way to, in this case, I'm going to hit that check mark because that's what it is. And now I have a nice little check mark, and it, okay, so every time I hit this button, it's going to put that there. So you could create, using this approach and using Webdings or other types of formatting, it's very easy to create various tick marks, and let me just modify this. I mean, you may want to select symbols that are here. It probably makes it a little bit easier, so you could kind of look around and see what symbols that you like. But things like the red exclamation mark might be something where it's a problem. The pi symbol is something where it's used a lot in audit work papers, so that might be a good one. The up arrow, the down arrow, these are all really good things. And again, you feel free to get a little bit creative and maybe select your smiley face or sad face would be a problem for tick marks. But again, tick marks are used a lot by auditors, and to have a nice little row of them up at top that you can just easily kind of go up and click to as needed is just a great feature of Excel. And with this little macro, you can do quite a bit of tick mark legending very, very quickly.